Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Pesticide Residue Analysis by Mass Spectrometer, conducted in collaboration with IARI and Spincobiotic. I'm Keo Satish, and I'll be your host for today. So we are really glad that IARI is collaborating with Spincobiotic in conducting this webinar, which covers a wide range of topics and provides a complete solution for pesticide residue, mycotoxins, allergen analysis, among many. We have an amazing webinar planned for you with all our panelists, Mr. Manivannan, Dr. Madaswamy, Mr. Abhishek Shambekar, Mr. Debijit Jain, Dr. Sagar Uttare, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Vandana Tripathi. IARI has a history of more than 100 years and has been instrumental in the growth of Indian agriculture sector and has contributed immensely to the Indian economy. The green revolution that brought smiles to the millions of Indians bloomed from the fields of IARI with the development of famous wheat varieties which contributed an estimated 1 billion tons of production. With many research projects like NADP, MPRNL, IRI has laid the foundation and continues to be the leading institution for agricultural research. NADP, National Agriculture Development Program, was introduced to tackle the slow growth of agricultural sectors in India. Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana was launched to achieve a 4% annual growth in agriculture sector by introducing different strategies for specific issues at national and regional levels. MPRNL, monitoring pesticide residue at national level, was another project that was undertaken by IARI to check the pesticide residue limit in food samples and environmental samples. This has been instrumental in introducing new technologies in the industry that has been traditional in its approach. So headed by Dr. Vandana Tripathi and Dr. K.K. Sharma, MPRNL-PR scheme has helped in developing new analytical methods and tackle the hazardous effects of pesticide residue in the Indian movement. And we are really glad that Dr. Vandana is here with us today to throw us light on the pesticide residues in agriculture. So the mandate of AINP is to ensure safe and judicious use of pesticides. It ensures to organize, promote, and coordinate location-specific research at national level on analysis of pesticides in food, soil, and water. The thrust areas are developing cost-effective analytical methods, a repository of national residue data, human resource, and skill development, among many other areas. The 14 coordinated centers under AINP and the 13 laboratories under MPRNL all are accredited by NABL. So AINP-PR has been upgraded by state-of-the-art LC and the LC-MSMS, GC and the GC-MSMS and other equipments. Also, as per skill upgradation, so they are providing regular hands-on training on pesticide residues. So they have published manuals and technical bulletins to name a few. So coming back to Dr. Vandana Tripathi is the network coordinator at IARI. She has done her PhD in IARI in agriculture chemicals and has been a gold medalist. She started as a research associate and later been a senior scientist and now the network coordinator of all India network projects on pesticide residue. She has over 20 years of experience in the field of pesticide residues and food safety and development. She has been the member of the Indian delegation of the 52nd and 53rd session of FAO WHO Codex Committee on Pesticide Residues, CCPR, and has nominated as the chair of Electronic Working Group. She has been the member secretary in the technical committee of the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Sponsored Monitoring Scheme. She has published 2 patents and more than 35 research papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. So with this brief intro, I now hand it over to Dr. Tripathi. So before we begin the webinar, a few home rules. We would like you to post all your queries in the Q&A section only and not in the chat box. So all your queries will be addressed at the end of the webinar by our panelists. So over to you, Dr. Tripathi.
Thank you, Satish ji. A very good afternoon to all the participants of this webinar. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers, Mrs. Pinko, for organizing this important webinar on an issue which is close to the heart of, all the testing laboratories, because mass spectrometry, which is earlier it was a desirable feature, has now become a mandatory requirement, not only from the testing perspective, but also from the regulatory perspective. So I think this is a challenging issue for which we have all all the stakeholders, not only from the government, from the private, and all the different stakeholders who are involved with pesticide residue. We have all gathered here today to discuss the important challenges that we are facing today and how to overcome such challenges. So I congratulate the team led by Dr. Manivannan for this important organization of this important seminar. I will just share my slide presentation with you. So the screen is visible to all, I'm
Yes,
sure.
madam, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, I will, because there are a lot of speakers from who are specialists in mass spectrometry. Today, I would like to just give you a brief outline on what is this project, All India Network Project on Pesticide Residue, how we are involved in this entire pesticide residue networking in the country. So for this brief, I would first go into what is the pesticide residue, whether it is just a matter of plant protection or is it involving the entire sector of food, because food has to be procured in more quantity. The plant protection has to be done, because if we are going to lose our food to the pest, it will become a very big problem for us. So pesticides play a very important role in the food security, so that more food is produced by the farmers, and more of the food which is available to the farmers, that will ensure the food security in the country, so that our country will be ready to not only produce sufficient food but also to export it to other countries as well. So food security is very one important parameter which is addressed by the use of pesticides in the country. But since we are all aware that pesticides are inherently toxic molecules, so it is very important that the food safety has to be ensured. So wherever pesticides are involved, the most important aspect that comes into play is the food safety. So in the country, food security, along with food security, we have to ensure the food safety. And also, because India is the major producer of so many commodities, agriculture commodities, and it is not only the major producer but the major exporter of many of these commodities. So when the any commodities traded from India, it has to be ensured that the commodity is free from pesticide residue, or the pesticide residues are within the limits. So when we look at the entire scenario in the country, so the pesticides, wherever pesticides are there, they have a very, very high impact on food security, food safety, and food trade. And this issue has to be addressed by all the stakeholders, by coming together. And the first thing which is important for all this is the testing for which we have gathered here. So these are I'll just go through a brief of the national pesticide residue schemes in India. Presently, there are two national level pesticide residue schemes in the country. One is the All India Network Project on Pesticide Residue, and other is the monitoring of pesticide residues at national level. Both the schemes have, one scheme was started by ICR way back in 1984, and another scheme which has been initiated by the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It was started in 2005. And there is a network of 18 laboratories in the country under the AINP on pesticide residues, while in the MPRNL there are 33 laboratories across the country which are involved in this scheme. In the AINP project, we have ICR institutes and state agriculture universities, while in the MPRNL scheme, it's a central sector scheme, and it has the involvement of 8 ministries and departments across the country. So first, I will just go through a brief of what is the All India Network Project on Pesticide Residue doing. So we are generating the data of persistence and residue of any pesticide in the country which is coming here for the first time, and it has to be recommended for the use on any particular crop. So these are the registration requirements of any pesticide residue in the country, that any pesticide which is coming here for the first time, or it has the label claim on a new crop is to be done. So the data has to be generated in the different agroclimates, and that pesticide residue data which is to be generated is done through the network of the laboratories which are there in the All India Network Project on Pesticide Residues. Then we have some other mandates, and one of the mandate is to develop and validate simple, sensitive and effective analytical methods for the quantification of pesticide residue, because to achieve our overall objective, this is one of the very important aspect which has to be covered. And of course, we are also having the human resource development, because this is a very, very trace level analysis. Lot of skill is required, lot of knowledge is required in this area. So human resource development is also one of our mandates. And of lately, we have introduced the estimation of heavy metals and antibiotic residues, as this is going to be added as a new dimension to this project starting from the next plan. So these are currently the coordinating centers which are there under our project. There are 18 coordinating centers, out of which 3 are voluntary and 15 are located in different ICR institutes and state agriculture universities. Now, the most important requirement from a regulatory perspective in the country is that the data has to be generated in the different agroclimates. So the country, as per the Planning Commission, the country has been divided into 15 different agroclimatic zones. And this is the map of the different agroclimatic zones, and it is just showing the location of our centers. So our centers presently, they are covering the 11 different agroclimatic zones out of the 15 which are there in the country. And in the next plan, there is a plan to include more laboratories so that more agroclimates can be covered for this particular aspect. So the main mandate, as I was telling you, is we have to conduct supervised field trials following good agriculture practices in the different agroclimates. So for any new pesticide crop combination that is introduced into the country, that has to be approved for use in the country. The data has to be generated in the different agroclimates, and after the examination of this data only, the label claim for the use, the approved use of that pesticide can be done on that particular crop, and also the MRL is fixed based on this data which is generated. So this is how the steps are taken, that after the field trial, there is application of pesticides and the harvested produce is brought to the laboratory, and in the laboratory the analysis is taking place, and in the analysis there is cleanup and also the quantification on the instrument, and the data which is coming out, that particular data is submitted to the Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee, which scrutinizes this data and submits it to FSSAI for MRL fixation. And after the MRL is fixed, there is an approval of the label claim of that pesticide by the registration committee, and then the pesticide is available, that new pesticide is available to farmers for the crop protection. So this entire exercise is done for any new pesticide which is to be introduced into the country. Also, the second important project, which was initiated in 2005, which is the monitoring of pesticide residues at national level. The main mandate of this project is to monitor pesticide residues in food, commodity and environmental samples, which includes irrigated water samples. And here we have a network of 33 laboratories, out of which 30 are testing laboratories. And these laboratories, they are also located in the different parts of the country. And the main mandate of this particular project is that we are generating the data for how much is the level of pesticide residue which is present in something which the consumers are consuming. So these are the different 8 ministries and departments which are involved. So out of this, presently the 26 testing labs, they are ISO 17025, and 7 collection laboratories are there. These are the different commodities which are included under this project, which includes vegetables, fruits, cereals, pulses, spices, herbs, milk, and fish and marine products, meat and eggs, tea and water. So these are the different commodities. So here we just pick up the market samples, farm gate samples. We for every sample, there is a traceability. Every sample is geotagged, and after extraction in the laboratory and quantification of residues, the report is generated, or whether the pesticides are above MRL, below MRL, or whether we are getting any banned pesticide detection or any off-label detection of pesticide. And this data is shared with the state agriculture departments so that the farmers can be guided for the safe and judicious use of pesticides. So these are the monitoring results which we have for the past few years, in which we have the data for 2 lakh, approximately 3 lakh samples. And we have found that 2.5% samples, the residues have been found above the maximum permissible limit, which is given by the FSSAI. So our project, because it's a national level project, we have established national linkages throughout with different stakeholders. As I explained earlier, here we are dealing with food safety aspects, food security aspects, and also the trade aspects. So for this, the project is very much associated with all the different regulatory bodies in the country and organizations which are responsible for ensuring the safety of the food, and also that sufficient food should be available for the people in the country. Also this project, because pesticide residue has trade impact, a lot of trade impact. So many times our exporters, they face rejection of produce whenever any produce is going to the market. So for that, the project has developed international linkages with the FAO WHO Codex Committee on Pesticide Residues. We provide our data to the codex for the fixation of MRL, and also we are a part of various electronic working groups where we are giving our inputs to the different committees, where India is also the chair and co-chair for the committees which I have listed here. So we are very much working in close connection with these organizations, so that any limits which are set by Codex, that also has where India's interests are also addressed. So based on that, India is a chair and co-chair in the different electronic working groups on the purity of CRMs, on the unsupported compounds, on biopesticides, on national registration database, and mass spectrometry. So from our project, we are nominated as chair or co-chair for this particular electronic working groups. So this is the latest. Very recently, there was a 53rd session of Codex Committee on Pesticide Residue, which was held in July 4 to 8. And from ICR, there was an active participation for this particular meeting. Also, since one of the very important mandates of this project is the method development for analysis of multi-pesticide residues in food commodities. The details, I'm sure my other speakers, panelists will be talking about that. I just wanted to highlight certain challenges which any laboratory which is coming to this particular field it has to address. One is, of course, the availability of required infrastructure, whether it is LCMS-MS, GCMS-MS, because as per international guidelines, these are the requirements which every laboratory which has to get itself accredited, it has to have these requirements. Second is the suitable method for analysis of multi-pesticide residues. So how many pesticides to be included in one particular method are based on so many different issues. One is how many pesticides are registered in our countries, and out of those, how many are popularly used by the farmers. Another important aspect is there may be some pesticides which are not registered in our country, but may be detected on some food commodities which we have imported from some other countries. So when we are devising a monitoring mechanism in our country, then it has to take into account all these factors, that such pesticides should also be a part of our method, which may not be registered in our country, but are detected on the imported food commodities. And for export purpose, of course, this is a very, very important requirement, that any pesticides which is registered in a country which is importing our produce, which is exported from India, we have to take into account those pesticides. So that is one of the particular important issues. Another is the availability of valid reference materials. So any laboratory which is working in this area is facing these problems again and again, because you have to have a valid certified reference material for all the pesticides which you are including in your scope of testing. And then very important thing is the limit of quantification of the method, because the MRLs, the maximum residue limits, they are becoming more stringent day by day. So depending upon what are the internationally how things are moving, our methods have to be such that we are able to achieve those stringent MRLs, so that we can our data, because it is going for to FAO also for fixing their standards. So it is important that we are giving the limit of quantification such that our data will be accepted by such international agencies. And then a very important aspect is the method validation as per international guidelines. So any method which has to be which is done by any pesticide laboratory, it has to be validated. There is no question about that. So in our laboratory, we have tried to work out the method for more than 400 pesticides, out of which 176 pesticides they are on GCMS-MS and 218 pesticides on the LCMS-MS. For this we have taken GCMS is our own, and for LCMS-MS we have gone into a partnership with the Spinco Biotech, and we have established this method on their instrument. And the method validation, Mr. Santosh will be talking about that. It has been done as per the SANTE guidelines. So this is the inauguration of the newly installed facility which was installed at IARI. This is the director IARI, who is taking keen interest in the working of the particular instruments. So as somebody already discussed, the NABL accreditation is very, very important for any testing laboratory. So any laboratory which is working in this area, if the data is not from an accredited laboratory, it will not hold any credibility for any regulatory authorities, whether it is as per national guidelines or as per international guidelines. So this is one of the important requirements. That is why all the testing laboratories under our scheme, they are NABL accredited. For some of the other laboratories, they are also gaining up momentum, and the ones which are not accredited at present, they are only putting up the trials. So testing is only done by the NABL accredited laboratories. So NABL accreditation is a mandatory requirement for any laboratory which is working in this area. And one of the important aspects which we are covering in our program also is the proficiency testing program, which is done as per ISO 17043. So there is one laboratory at NIPHM Hyderabad, which is accredited for PT as a PT provider as per ISO 17043. So there all the laboratories under our scheme, they are participating in this program, and based on the Z scores which they are getting in this particular programs, we are doing the comparative evaluation of these laboratories, and if any results which are going outlier, a proper root cause analysis is done that why these results are going beyond the particular range. So lab strengthening is definitely a very important aspect, because all these critical studies are possible only if we have a very well equipped lab. So for having such a particular infrastructure, it is important that all the analytical instruments, LCMS, MS, GCMS, MS, they are there in all the laboratories. So depending upon the availability of funds, we are trying to strengthen all the laboratories through both the projects. Also the sample preparation facility, we have been strengthening all our laboratories with all the required sample preparation facilities. And hands-on refresher training program, because most of our laboratories, we are following the uniform protocol of analysis. So for this, we are organizing the hands-on training program, where we are inviting the researchers from our different laboratories, and we provide them from day one, right from the sample preparation to the procurement of the samples to the final analysis. So the hands-on training is provided. I will share some glimpses of the training programs which has been organized very recently in our laboratory. So right from first, we demonstrate all the steps which are involved in pesticide residue, and then these trainees, they are required to perform the analysis themselves, and then their performance is evaluated, like how well they have been trained for following this particular protocol. So these are the few glimpses of our training programs. And then at the end of the program, we give them a certificate, which is also a requirement from the ISO 17025. And as I informed earlier, now in our project, we have initiated activities. We have already initiated the activities related to the estimation of heavy metals in food commodities and estimation of antibiotic residues in food commodities. And this is going to become one of the very important aspects, because at present, there is no national database on the heavy metals in the different agriculture produce and in the entire country, because there have been some studies which are going on in the scattered pockets, but as a national level study, so there is a direction to us from the council that we should begin the studies on heavy metals and antibiotic residues. So with this, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana. This surely is very insightful on pesticide residue analysis. Surely makes us proud that your organization is working towards safety of our food that we consume. So not just in India, but also internationally. Unfortunately, Dr. Tripathi has to touch for another meeting with the ministry. So if you have any queries from the participants, please type it in the Q&A box. We will compile it and then share it to Dr. Tripathi, and then probably will answer on a later date. Thank you so much, Dr. Tripathi. So we'll go into the next speaker. So as is explained, the next speaker is Dr. Santosh Bharadwaj. So he'll be covering topics on collaborative methods developed with IRA using Shimadzu LC-MS. So Dr. Santosh Bharadwaj is working as the Deputy Manager with Shimadzu Analytical India Private Limited in New Delhi, so in the Customer Support Center since 2008. Primarily, Dr. Santosh is responsible for pharma and non-pharma application support on chromatography and mass spectrometry. That includes LC, LCMS, LCMS-MS, SFC, and SFC. So he's also involved in post-sales in North India region. He has completed his master's degree in industrial chemistry in 2005, and will be working in industry subsequently. So he has done his PhD in analytical chemistry from Jivaji University, Gwalior. So he has worked in various industries like food safety, chemical, polymers, additives, pharma, and instrumentation. And he has got a wide experience of more than 18 years in total. So during his academic career and industry, he has more than 15 papers in his publications. So over to you, Dr. Santosh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Satish. Hope my screen visible.
Yes, you can go ahead.
So good afternoon to all the participants, and thank you, Satish, for a brief introduction. So now today I am going to present the work which we had done in collaboration with IARI. So all the method developed on the LC-MS and GC-MS. So we had developed a method for almost 230 plus pesticides, as mentioned by ma'am. 218 pesticide already got the NABL accreditation. So we had developed method in 4 different commodities. So we took the vegetables, we took cucumber, then we took rice, we took grapes and black tea. So on all these commodities, we developed method. So the key differentiator while we developing method was the our Shimadzu method packages and other tools to accelerate that method development which we have taken out at IARI. So the method development packages which is having all the LC conditions, MS conditions, and the MRM transitions. So we have selected the pesticide method packages which is available online by the name of version 3, which is having all the methods for almost 836 pesticides, and having the almost approx 2000 MRM transitions, including the negative and positive ionization modes, which is having almost due to possible by high scan speed and the lowest polarity switching, that is 5 millisecond. LC separation condition also mentioned, like whatever column used and whatever the mobile phase is used. So we had reference this method package, and we had also used some automated tools for the method or MRM optimization, so which is very helpful while developing methods. So we had took all the transitions from the method package and optimizes voltages further for the particular model. So we had that used lab solution software. So while we had took the in software itself, there is an option like optimization of method, which we click, then we got the information about the like required parameters that need to be optimized. So whether we can select from the initial precursor ion search or post product ion search, or whether we can go for optimization of the energies only also. Then we can select the energies which we need to optimize. So either collision energy, Q1 pre-bias, Q3 pre-bias, we can set the lower and upper ranges over here in the software itself, and then we can click OK. We can save the method. Then in next window, we can put the vial positions and the injection volume of respective pesticide, and just we can also give the command after the optimization step. System can go automatically shut down, or if we wanted to have certain sequence, so that can also be done. Then we can click start, and all the optimization procedure will be very much automated. You will get the ready-made methods. So this is the steps which we can follow during the optimization. So we can initiate from the ion search, or either we can have the optimization of voltage itself. So based on the condition, we had optimized the method for 232 pesticides, and we had used the C18 column. So we had used two columns. One is the Merck Promolith column of 100 into 4.6 of 2 micron column. Another same method we transfer on Simadju Scepter column, which is of 100 into 4.6 and 3 micron. We had used mobile phase of the 5 millimolar ammonium acetate in water, added 0.01% of formic acid, and mobile phase B, we had used similar 5 millimolar ammonium acetate that prepared in methanol, and added 0.01% formic acid to enhance the ionization further. So apart from this, we had optimized the sample extraction procedure also. For fruit and vegetable, we had followed the Quacher's method, where we had used the 15 gram of chop and grind sample, and added 30 ml of acetonitrile in the centrifuge tube. Then sample was homogenized by using the homogenizer for 2 to 3 minutes. Then we added 3 gram of NaCl, mixed it, and then we had centrifuged that mix to separate the organic layer. In the we had collected almost 16 to 18 ml of supernatant layer, and added 9 gram of Na2SO4 to remove the moisture content and separate the organic layer. For the further cleanup step, we used the primary secondary amine solvent and MgSO4. Then took the 11 ml of supernatant volume and added to the centrifuge tube, and then we had vortexed it well, centrifuge further the mix for the 5 minutes, at least at the speed of 3000 rpm. We took the 1 ml of supernatant and added 1 ml acetonitrile to double dilute to actually minimize the effect of matrix. Further filtered this solution with 0.22 micron syringe filter, and then that transfer the filtrate in the LC vial to inject on the HPLC. So it contains almost 0.25 gram of sample per ml. So same procedure we had used for the this batch procedure used for the cucumber. Then same procedure we had tried for the grapes, but while using the acetonitrile as a extraction solvent, recovery was affected, so we used ethyl acetate. So there are two changes only in the method of grapes. We used ethyl acetate instead of acetonitrile, and while after centrifuge, we had actually air dried the supernatant by using an anti-evaporator and double diluted with the used 2 ml of acetonitrile for the dilution. So same content like 25 gram of sample per ml of the solvent. So this is about rice again. So same procedure we had followed. to avoid certain matrix interferences, initially we had usually like barter as a diluent, then similar procedure followed. So at least for the removal of starch and all this, we refrigerated the sample initially for the 10 minutes. All the procedure for the rice also remains same only. Similar procedure used for the black tea, only one or two steps or less as compared to rice or fruit and vegetables. So this same procedure almost obtained for the finalized for the black tea. So based on this extraction procedure and the instrumental conditions, we had validated method as per the Sente guidelines. So all the parameters mentioned in Sente, as well as we referred certain other international guidelines for validation, and we had validated methods. So here I am presenting only some summary of the validation. So while having the validation parameter, I highlighted few parameters like specificity. We checked like while we injected matrix length, we had observed no peak at the interest of any analyte peak. So this was no interference observed. Then linearity, we assessed linearity from 1 ppb to 100 ppb, and we obtained a very good actually R square value, that is like more than 0.99 only for all the pesticides. So detection limit we had assessed, and we obtained detection limit 0.1 to 0.5 ppb. Quantification limit as per like this signal to noise ratio, we obtained 0.3 to 1 ppb of the all the pesticides. We had assessed precision as well. So this precision of like assessed for the retention times as well as the area count at the reporting limit of 10 ppb. So for the retention time, we got the percent RSD not more than 0.25% for all the pesticides. And similarly for area count, we had got excellent repeatability. It is not more than 2.5% for any of the pesticides. We have assessed the matrix interference. So matrix effect for pesticides assessed at 10 picogram per microliter level. So we observed minimum interference, which is for maximum it gone up to 15 to 20%. Otherwise, most of the pesticide having the matrix effect less than 10%. Then we had assessed recoveries also for the all the pesticide with all the methods at different levels. So 10 ppb, 20 ppb, 50 ppb randomly we selected, and we had observed very good recoveries, almost of 218 pesticides between the range of 70 to 120%. And while check the repeatability of the different preparation of the recovery, we got RSD not more than 10% for all the pesticide at different levels. This is some representative data of the matrix match linearity, which we performed for the all the 232 pesticides. So this is how we got an excellent linearity, R square value of the 0.995 plus only, and very good repeatability in the 3 replicate we checked, and linearity level also. Then this is the method robustness. Although we had a method of 20 minutes for 230 pesticides, but majority of pesticide eluting in the similar time. So we had assessed the repeatability for the very co-eluting peaks, which we observed like RSD of co-eluting peaks not more than 2%. So it is possible due to the high scan speed and the lowest polarity of the mass. So this is the conclusion of the work which we had carried out in the collaboration with IARI. So optimized and method developed and validated successfully for 232 pesticide, almost 218 pesticides. Recoveries were within the range. So methods validated as per the Sente guidelines, and a few parameters of international guidelines also incorporated. They are observed very good recoveries even at lower levels. Then finally, the NABL reassessment audit being conducted in March 2021, which we successfully completed. So all the thanks to IARI staff who had really appreciated the efforts, our efforts, as well as very much cooperated during the method development and validation process. So this is all about the very summarized on the method development and validation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Santosh, for your detailed explanation about the pesticide analysis that you have done at IARI, starting from sample preparation, optimization, and validation. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions for you. So we will compile these questions and then probably we can answer at the end of this session. To all the viewers, this webinar is brought to you by Spinco Biotech, India's leading analytical instrumentation company, which was started in 1981. True to our tagline, Spinco is bringing technology and enabling science for the past 41 years. So we now request SR Manivannan to talk about the latest development and the overview of Spinco. He will be giving a corporate presentation. Over to you, SRM.
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, so you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Satish. At the outset, on behalf of all the participants, Simash2 and Spinco, I would like to thank Dr. Vandana. In spite of her very busy schedule, she has accepted for this collaborative webinar and also shared the methods which has been developed in her lab. Thank you, Dr. Santosh, for highlighting the 3 different methods which you have been personally working on that. Now it's time to share with you our Spinco corporate profile. Of course, every one of you must be knowing about Spinco Biotech, but it is my responsibility to highlight the current developments. Okay, as Satish explained, bringing technology, enabling science is our tagline, and our vision is to excel and to be the leading player of our chosen market, that is analytical instrumentation, mainly focusing on chromatography and mass spectrometry. We have a team of more than 730 people. Spinco is found in the year 1981. So we are 41 years young, and we have the network of 32 branch offices plus 18 smart satellite support centers. So we are focusing on 3 business verticals, that is chromatography and mass spec, bioresearch, and process technology. Currently, we have more than 25,500 plus HPLCs installed in the country. So we have 700 Spincoites who are the true assets of Spinco, supporting the customers 24/7. And as I mentioned to you, we have 50 plus support centers, starting from Ahmedabad to Vizag. Each and every corner of the country, we have the presence to support our customers. So we have 3 different business verticals, chromatography and mass spec, in which 70% of our offerings are from Simash2, that is analytical HPLC, UHPLC, preparative HPLC, GCs. And when it comes to MS, we have single quad LCMS, triple quad LCMS, single quad GCMS, and triple quad GCMS. And we also have the allied products like the evaporative light scattering detector, that is from Saturday, and the radioisotope detector, which is from LabLogic. So Antec Leiden, who are the manufacturers of electrochemical detectors, and we also represent Pickering Labs, who provides the solutions for amino acid post-column derivation techniques. So we give you the complete solutions, end-to-end solutions when it comes to chromatography and mass spectrometry. We also have the consumables and chemistry, that is Simash2 columns, vials, sonicators, and all the relevant products for chromatography and mass spec. Bioresearch and process technology are the 2 other focus verticals, mainly the ELISA readers. And in the process technology, we represent Vertis, which is the gold standard in lyophilization. We are having a very strong 4 decades partnership with Simash2. And recently we have crossed 25,000 HPLC installations in India, which includes our flagship model of advanced I series. This model alone, we have 8,000 plus installations. Simashtu has recently given us the award for surpassing the 500 triple quad LCMS installation in India. And Simashtu is the only company who can offer you the complete lab solution client server network software, wherein you can connect from balance to mass spec. So we have more than 1,000 client servers currently working in the country. And let me introduce our customer support center in our headquarters in Chennai. This is our customer experience zone in that is Spinco Customer Center, which is in the first floor of our Spinco Towers in Chennai. We have 6 mass spectrometers and a dozen HPLC with various configuration and detectors to support our customers on both application as well as method development. We do conduct the periodic training to all of our customers. And currently we have 10,000 plus comprehensive maintenance contract. So it is Spinco Care. We will ensure that your instrument performs 24/7 without any flaw. And as I mentioned, we have 760 Spincoites working with us, in which 500 plus are from service and application. And we do have a huge inventory of spares and consumable, close to around $5 million worth of inventory in our Spinco Care hub that is called Spinco Tech Private Limited in Chennai. And any spares or consumable what you need, if you place an order within 24 hours, you will receive the spare. And I also would like to highlight a very important technical journal of Spinco that's called Cutting Edge, which is started in May 2011. Currently, we are entering to the 12th year with successful 144 issues. And this is the monthly technical journal, which is circulated to 12,000 plus scientists across the country. And the e-version of this book is also available, which can be shared by email, the ebook, which you can flap through and completely study this. And most of our customers have contributed articles, and there will be application briefs in this Cutting Edge. So if you would like to receive a copy, you can send a mail to our cuttingedge@spincotech.com. And if you'd like to contribute an article, you are most welcome. And 12 years back, our chairman wanted to create an institute for customer support that's called IICMS, Indian Institute of Chromatography and Mass Spec. Dr. Venkat Manogar is the director of this institute. And you must be knowing Dr. Venkat Manogar, who has 5 decades experience in mass spectrometry. He is contributing this, sharing the learning article every month in our Cutting Edge journal. And our chairman, Mr. Tyagarajan, is a visionary. He is a very, very customer-centric leader. He is having 5 decades of association with Simashtu Corporation, promoting the Simashtu solutions to Indian customers. In fact, he has released a book on customerization of Spinco during his 75th birthday recently. And on the mass spec, we conduct the National Mass Spectrometry Conference every alternative year. In fact, this year, we are going to have this in Chennai, ITC Choda, on November 24th. All our MS users are most welcome to attend this conference. So Spinco is continuously educating the customers, continuously organizing webinars. In fact, recently we have organized a webinar on SIMAS2 solutions for dairy, wherein we covered the veterinary drugs, the milk adulterants, vitamins, amino acid, all the milk related applications. We have also released an application book on milk products. So if you'd like to receive a copy, you may send a mail to info@spincotech.com. The same way, last month, we also organized the honey webinar. That is a SIMAS2 solutions for honey testing. Here again, we have released the honey application solutions book. Now, in this webinar, I am pleased to I'm very much pleased to share with you all. We will be launching the pesticide residue application data book by Dr. Sagar, who is our lab manager. Kiva Satish, you may proceed with the launch of the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Manivannan. So as informed by Manivannan, customization is the backbone of our company culture. It only means delighting our customers at every touch point. This is what we strive for day in and day out. And Shimadzu, with 145 years of rich tradition and culture, they have got a complete solution for any modern laboratory. So as informed by SRM, it's time to launch our much awaited pesticide residue analysis in food using LCMS. So I now request Dr. Sagar to launch the pesticide analysis booklet. I'll just be playing a video right now. Yeah, so I now request Dr. Sagar, who is the manager of our customer support center in Chennai, to explain what is available in the pesticide residue analysis booklet. Over to you, Dr. Sagar.
Yeah, thank you, Satish. Hope the screen is visible.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Satish, for the nice launch of the book. So over next few minutes, I will try to go through the content of the book, which is exclusively compiled for the applications related to pesticide residue analysis in food, covering using mass spectrometry, that is LCMS and GCMS. So as you can see the content, we have included several applications related to pesticide residue analysis, which includes multi-residue pesticide analysis and as well as polar pesticide analysis in various food matrices, including rice, fruits and vegetables, then tea, and including water as well. So as we know that pesticide residue analysis has evolved over last 10 to 15 years. The earlier scope of the methods or multi-residue methods was limited to less than 100 pesticide compounds. Whereas over last few years, the trend had changed significantly and the methods are developed in the laboratories contains pesticides more than 300 or sometimes more than 500 as well. So this particularly is required to meet the requirements as per the importing and domestic country regulations. And as explained by Dr. Vandana in her presentation, that the limitations or regulations are very stringent for pesticide residues. So this booklet is focusing on pesticide residue analysis in various food matrices. So we can see the first application, which is pesticide residue analysis in rice, where the analysis of 326 pesticide residues are done using LCMS-MS and GCMS-MS technique. In this, around 220 pesticides are analyzed using LCMS, whereas around 158 pesticides are analyzed using GCMS. Some of the compounds can be analyzed using both the techniques. So in this application, sample preparation technique, the GCMS and LCMS-MS conditions, including chromatographic conditions and mass spectrometry conditions, are described here. And the methods are again validated using the SANTE guidelines and the MRM conditions, and the validation data is also presented in this particular application. Similarly, you can see the next application is on black tea, again, which is a complex matrix. And here again, 313 pesticide residues are analyzed using LCMS-MS and GCMS-MS technique. So this is again meeting the requirements as per FSSAI, European Union, APEDI requirements, and the Japan Ministry pesticide residue requirements. So the method conditions and the validation data is again presented here in this particular application. The third application belongs to the oleoresin. So oleoresin is, we can say it is a highly complex matrix because the matrix is concentrated, and the sample preparation is particularly challenging here. So we have taken that, like Shimatsu has worked on such kind of complex matrix as well, and the method of analysis is presented here in carrot oleoresin. So similar method can be used for analysis of other oleoresin like chili oleoresin or other commodities also. So again, you can see here the LCMS and GCMS technique is followed, and the method conditions are provided in this particular application. Next is the curcumin extract, where curcumin is again a complex matrix because it is highly, like it contains high amount of color, which interferes with the during chromatographic analysis as well as mass spectrometric analysis. But we have Shimatsu has worked on this kind of complex matrix as well, and the method conditions and validation data is again presented here. This is another application on red chili, which is again a complex matrix. Then there are certain few applications on fruits and vegetables using LCMS-MS, where 210 pesticide residues are analyzed on LCMS-MS in single method. And these are the validation data and mass spectrometric details. This is one of the interesting article or application which is given in this booklet, where more than 600 pesticide residues are analyzed in a short runtime of less than 15 minutes. And each compound has around 3 MRM transitions. The interesting fact is, as Dr. Santosh was explaining in his presentation, that most of the compounds, when we are doing multi-residue analysis, most of the compounds may look at same retention time or similar retention time within short period of runtime. But with the help of high scan speed and fastest polarity switching, the data is not compromised, and the sensitivity and repeatability can be achieved with high accuracy. So this is the application where again the sensitivity of instrument is utilized to dilute the samples. So when we are dealing with highly complex matrices like chili or oleoresins or such kind of matrices, so the samples can be diluted, and the sensitivity of the instrument can be utilized to get the better recoveries of the analytes. So then there are certain applications on organophosphate herbicides, including glyphosate, which is very important in terms of tea. So there are many detections of glyphosate residues in particularly tea. So this is one of the applications where simple approach of fruit extraction technique, that is methanolic extraction, and direct injection to LCMS is adopted here. So derivation steps are excluded in this particular application, so that the throughput of the analysis can be increased and also the accuracy of the analysis can be improved. Then there are further some applications on polar pesticide analysis, which is again a challenging compounds. These are polar in nature, so having less retention on the chromatographic column, and also sensitivity need to be optimized, or conditions need to be optimized for such kind of analytics. So these kind of applications are also included where you can get MRM conditions and chromatographic conditions readily available. Then there are certain applications again on polar pesticides in water, and there are a few applications dedicated to this is a pesticide residues using the GC triple processing. So we hope that this booklet will be useful for the laboratories to adopt these methodologies and quickly start the method development and start the analysis of samples in the laboratories. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Sagar, firstly for compiling an exhaustive application booklet on pesticide analysis and also explaining the contents of the booklet. So we have received lots of requests for the booklet, and we'll ensure all of you get a copy of the same in a couple of days. So going forward, now I request Dr. Madaswamy, our next speaker, to talk about pesticide residue applications. Before that, Dr. Madaswamy has 12 years of experience in food testing and has got a significant knowledge of ISO 17025, EAIC, PIDA, and food safety standards. He has extensively handled instruments like LCMS, MS, GCMS, HPLC, GC, FTIR, ICP-MS, and AS. So prior to this, he has obtained his PhD from Upasiti Research Institute under Bharatiyar University, and he has done his master's from Anja College under Madurai Kamaraj University. He has worked with reputed companies like Bureau Veritas, Chennai, TV Sud, Bangalore, and currently working in Spinco Biotech as the LCMS specialist. So welcome, Dr. MS, for your presentation for today.
Hope my voice is audible, right? Screen also displayed.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sadish. I'm really happy to attend taking this session because I'm really, I would like to thank Dr. Vandana as well as Dr. Santosh, also including Dr. Sagar, because all of three has covered very well about the different parts of pesticide residue analysis in food. Today, I'm going to my presentation. Before going to the presentation, just I want to convey our yes. Before going to the presentation, I would like to convey a few messages to our team. One thing, we know why we are using pesticide for our agriculture unit, but why we have to use pesticide residue. The purpose of pesticide, nowadays, there are more than 1,000 pesticides that are used around the globe to ensure that food is not damaged by the pest. So, however, many of these pesticides have different properties and toxicity. Pesticide toxicity depends on its function and several other factors. For example, insecticides are more toxic to people when compared to the herbicides. So, we are following many different kind of the regulations, such like Codex, USCPA, EU have developed and published the policy statement to guide agriculture organization on the proper usage of the pesticides. Of course, the amount of the pesticide residues allowed in food must be as low as possible to ensure the food safety for the consumer. We know very well modern technique, we are using LC-MS for widely accepted, works with broad ranges of pesticides for quantitative analysis. So the pesticides definitions will vary with the time and country. However, the essence of pesticide is residue basically constant. It is a mixed substance, poisonous and effect to the target organism and safe to non-target organism and the environment. Because of this reason, today I am going to present pesticide residue analysis in agri products by LCMSMS. In this presentation, I would like to cover 5 points. First one, current status of food supply chain in India as well as its challenges. Second, typical analysis workflow when we are using coaches for the sample preparations. Third one, importance of the mass spectrometry, because earlier we may use HPLCs and LCMS single code. Now we are using LCMS, it means LCMS triple code. So we have to understand the importance of the mass spectrometry so that we can work with our pesticide residue analysis in food. Fourth, I am going to discuss about application, which is few application, that is 5 highlighted applications for pesticide residue analysis and 3 recent modern applications for current food safety value. Finally, I am going to discuss about data processing requirement for the reporting. So let me discuss about current status of food supply chain and challenges. When we look at the newspaper, we may see many highlighted news about the food products. You can see here a lot of highlighted news in the newspaper. We can identify that, we can understand from this news, 40% of the samples may contain the chemicals which was supplied in the markets. Also, 70% of the pesticides, it means samples contain banned pesticides, which is not allowed by the Indian government. Now, the time to think whether it is organic food really or it's free from the pesticides. So, for example, a burger made with a different kind of the food matrix, it means different kind of the food involved in this. For this case, we may import it from different countries like yeast from Canada, vitamin C enrichment from China. As mentioned by Dr. Vantana, she clearly mentioned we have to make here more than 500 or 600 pesticides in a single run so that we can monitor the pesticides which was the product imported from other country also. In this, all these products, definitely we have to check the pesticides. That is very, very important before going to introduce this food product into the market. So the pesticides may be entered with a different way. It may be entered through water or it may enter through the fruits and vegetables. It means food, and also the pesticide easily spread from one places to other places. While spraying, as per the research, the drift will travel almost 1.8 kilometers. That's why whether we have to decide through the analysis the particular product is organic or not. The product, the farmers may not use the pesticides, but it can be traveled from nearby places also. There are different classes of the pesticides used in the agriculture, like acaricides, fungicides, herbicides, and insecticides. As I said earlier, insecticides is more poisonous compared than herbicides. These are the individual pesticides registered by the company should recover the data. It means recovery of the data also should be submitted during the registration for the particular matrix. So there are many different kind of the regulations followed all over the world. In India, we should follow 2 types of regulation for the particular food. It means Food Safety and Standard Authority of India for food and food supply chain, Bureau of Indian Standard for drinking water. So when you are going to export the product from India to other countries, we have to follow APIDA as well as the EAC, Agriculture and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority, as well as Export Inspection Council. When we are doing the trade all over the world, all over the country, so we have to follow codex also. At the same time, when we are going to develop or for the validate the qualitative or quantitative method, we have to follow Sandy guidelines. 11312 recently introduced. So these are the regulation is very, very important. When we look at that, where it's very, very important for our food testing. The challenges is very well known by us because the contaminant diversity is always is increasing by the regulation as well as the introduced by the companies, new pesticides for improve the crop productivity. The challenges is here very simple. We know we can get very good recovery from the fruits and vegetables as mentioned by Dr. Sandoz, but the challenges is chilly matrix. So the complexity of this matrix, we need some guidance. Let's see by one. Also, we have to achieve very low level. It means low LODs should be very, very low as per the current situations. Because the level should be very as low as possible. Also, why regulatory always recommend to use LCMSMS? Here, look at this is the Annexure 9 introduced by the NRGC, National Research Center for Grapes. They will clearly mention that the particular pesticide should be analyzed in the LCMSMS. Why? Because LCMSMS can be used for screening, confirmation, and quantification with high sensitivity and selectivity of the particular compound. Yes, Dr. Vedana clearly mentioned they have two different kind of the project. One of the project called monitoring pesticide residue in national level. The recent survey report by the FSSA clearly mentioned that through this project they have analyzed more than 3,000 or 33,000 samples with 30 labs. So in this survey clearly mentioned that 14% of the pesticides which was detected in the food matrix not approved by the Indian government. So we have to provide very clear solution to our distributors as well as the manufacturers. As the manufacturer, they are facing the challenges, what they need. The challenges is the regulatory agency always the demanding lower the reporting limit. Also, they are expanding the list of contaminants day by day, year by year, based on the matrix which was detected in any other laboratories. Also, the food manufacturer or supplier or distributor need the results very quickly with accurate results. Also, as we are running the lab, food testing lab, we have to deliver the results fastly with competitive testing fees because we have to control or decrease the operating cost during the pesticide residue analysis in the food matrix. So, as a scientist, as a chemist like you, so we have to decide what to look for when choosing the LCMSMS. As I said, we have to monitor more than 600 pesticides in a single run. So we need high throughput analysis only can achieve through the scan speed of the particular instrument. So if you are going to add multiple compounds with different chemical and physical properties, we may record polarity switching. Lowest the polarity switching can adopt multiple different physical and chemical nature of the compound in a single run. Also, as per the regulation, we have to achieve very lowest limit of detection. For this reason, we need high sensitivity instrument. So we have to consider these three parameters when we are looking for your LCMSMS for your food testing laboratory. For these three different challenges, we need the solutions. For example, sensitivity, of course, we need high sensitivity instrument like ultra-fast mass spectrometry along with the method package. The method package, as explained by the Dr. Sandoz, it's included multiple parameter. Also, it will improve the laboratory productivity. Second challenge is for the sample preparation. We need sample preparation guidelines as well as the application support. Of course, today also Dr. Sagar launched the new application booklet for pesticide residue analysis. That's where I'm sure that will support and it will help to your pesticide residue analysis in your particular food products. Third one, data processing. For huge data process, we need user-friendly software to process quickly with more than 100 or 1000 pesticides in a single run. These are the challenges and solutions for pesticide residue analysis. We may see the typical analysis workflow because the sample extraction is very, very important when you are going to do the pesticide residue analysis. For this case, the typical analysis workflow followed in 3 steps. First one, sample extraction and cleanup, instrument analysis, third one, data processing and the reporting. Sample extraction and cleanup is very, very challenging. 70% of the work process in the sample extraction process. It means it will take 70% of the sample analysis process. Remaining 20 will be taken by the software data processing. Only 10% of the work will happen in the instrument analysis. Just we will inject the sample and we'll get the data. So according to this, we are following catches. Earlier in 1965, 70, we are taking traditional method, but we have introduced the catches in the year 2003. That is nothing but quick, easy, cheap, effective, robust, and it's environmental safe method to follow in our pesticide residue lab. Not only this, it will reduce the cost of analysis, reduce the sample preparation time, also increase your instrument repeatability as well as the sensitivity. For these coaches, we are following 2 steps. First one, liquid extraction. Second one, dispersive solid base extraction cleanup. We are taking 10 gram of sample, adding the water as well as the organic layer 10 ml. After that, vortex and centrifuge, we are taking the upper layer to the dispersive solid base extraction cleanup that may having primary secondary amine, C18 or GCP. As the steps was explained clearly by the Dr. Sandoz earlier, of course, the very simple steps followed in the coaches, any kind of the pesticide residue analysis in the food products. There are different version of coaches followed. It means 2003, the catches was introduced with magnesium sulfate and sodium chloride. After that, few reasons, for example, improving the recovery of the particular compounds or different nature of the compounds. We have changed sodium acetate instead of sodium chloride. So adding this, they are getting very good recovery of many of the compounds. So finally, it was approved by AOC official method in the year of 2007. Even though European countries tried to modify the Koch's method, so through that they are adding sodium citrate instead of sodium chloride, they are achieved very good recovery for those are high polar or mid polar compound also. So one of the research clearly said they are compared all 3 different types of Koch's extract with a different matrix. Finally, they clearly mentioned that no significant difference recovery for the majority of the pesticides in the different kind of the matrix. For base sensitivity matrix like B's and all the problematic matrix with higher pH. So always AOC method is giving perfect recovery for all kind of the matrix with any kind of the pesticides. Now time to understand why mass spectrometry is more or most important for our pesticide residue analysis as per the regulation. For mass spectrometer, we know very well it is measure the ions which was converted from the molecules. From the mass spectrometer, we can get three-dimensional informations. RT information from the LC, molecular fragmentation from the MSMS, also intensity from the LC-MSMS. All these three information definitely required when you are going to analyze pesticide residue. Not only this, second one, polar to non-polar compounds. Of course, the food laboratory record 99% for ESI interface, but we have to use APCA for non-polar compound also. What is ESI? What is APCA? Why we have to follow? Because the compound may be volatile or non-volatile. The non-volatile compounds, we may go with LCMSMS. Either depending upon the polarity, we may choose ESI or APCA. ESI, we may choose non-polar or high polar or mid-polar compounds. Sorry, non-polar, high polar or mid-polar or low polar compounds. APCA, we may go with non-polar compounds. The ESI interface called soft ionization technique. The ionization happen in the liquid states. Those are the compounds not possible in the ESI, or those few compounds can be able to do it. The GCMSMS also able to do it in the, can be do it in the LCMSMS by using the APCA interface. So we can cover all the polar to non-polar compound in our LCMSMS. That is the second feature of mass spectrometry. Third, chemical fingerprint identification through LCMS triple code. How we can identify? There are three major part in main important part in the mass spectrometry. One is ionization source. The role of ionization source, whether it may be ESI or APC, it will ionize the molecule and evaporate the solvents. Then finally, ions will enter to the mass spectrometer. It means analyzer. The second part is analyzer. Analyzer is nothing but it's a quadrupole. What is quadrupole? It's a 4 metal rod kept under vacuum condition equidistance from the center of the axis with alternate polarity switching. So based on this mass value, it will allow only the particular ions to the next collision cell. So precursor ion allowed by the Q1, then it's further converted to the product ion by the collision cell, then allowed by the Q3. So finally, the detector will detect or it will generate the chromatogram based on the incident ions, where it will show the chemical fingerprint. Yes, of course, here only the mass spectrometry can able to detect two kind of the transition, two MRM transition. In this ion ratio, we can measure or we can use it for the identification of the particular compound. This is called chemical fingerprint. So this ion ratio only decide that false positive and false negative identification in the pesticide residue analysis. Of course, Sandy clearly mentioned the paragraph T12, matching ion ratio are not necessary. However, they may provide additional support for identification. Because recently I discussed with one of customer, they said both the laboratory we have submitted, lab A and B having same LOQ, same LOD value. The results matching with both are different because one laboratory identify only 5 compounds, other laboratory identify 10 compounds. So this is the maybe different. This can be rectified through using ion ratio. That's why I'm mentioning chemical fingerprint identification by LCMSMS. Another feature called MRM, multiple reaction monitoring. The purpose of multiple reaction monitoring, it will differentiate the triple code from the single code. It will include one precursor ion, one product ion. What is precursor ion or product ion? As per the Sanday regulations, we need 4 identification points. What is 4 identification points? That is nothing but 2 transition record. 4 identification points means, for example, cosacamycin having 380, that is called parent ion, that having only 1 point. Further, its fraction converted to 112 and 200, each having 2 kind of the products. It means 1 precursor, 2 product, of course, 1 point, 2 fragment having 3. So totally 4 points through identified in the MR. So we have to identify both qualifier and quantifier that is necessary for your regulation as per the regulations. So we have to fulfill through mass spectrometer triple code by the as per the regulations. Finally, it's the right time to discuss the application because I explained the current status, challenges, and the importance of the mass spectrometry and the difficult one analysis workflow. Right now, the time to discuss about the main 5 major challenges applications. Because earlier, Dr. Sandoz covered many kind of the application related to fruits and vegetables, rice. One of the important things in the rice, we have to follow 24 compounds as per the regulations when we are going to export. But our Smart has developed more than that. As per the part of application case studies, first case study related to the chili. The chili is very much challenging, as I mentioned earlier, but we have developed very good method for 243 pesticides. In this 243, as per the FSA, we have covered 29, and EU we have covered 182 out of 409, and we have covered as per the APIDA 118 out of 275. After that, we have developed all the 57 pesticides in the individual method also in one of our customer place. So we have achieved very good linearity from 0.1 to 10 ppb in our LCMSMS, also 1 to 50 ppb in the GCMSMS. The case study 2 is related to the carrot oleoresins. As Dr. Sagar mentioned, it's very challenging. Also, we have covered 66 compounds. All these 66 compounds achieved very good recovery, repeatability in this carrot oleoresins. So the LOQ of this instrument is 10 ppb we have achieved. For one more important information in this case study, we have plotted 7 points. In these 7 points, lowest points are 4 also within the linear. It means greater than 0.99, the correlation coefficients. The multi-pesticide analysis is what are also very important as per the period of Indian standard. We have covered 30 pesticides in a single run. Also, we have achieved very lowest LOQ level. Before going to the next case studies, we have to discuss about the polar compounds. The polar compounds is very, very challenging because the high polarity always not stable. It may forming sweeter ionic form. Also, it is water soluble, not the organic solvent solubility. It means it's a small molecule, low vapor pressure. What is the solution? We are having very good high polar pesticide residue analysis called PGR. This method was developed based on the cube method. It means U method. We have covered 2 different kinds of method for the particular matrix. We are using Hillick column or C18 column for with this kind of the method development in our instruments. So all these polar pesticides, not only this, we have developed more than 20 polar pesticides with the 2 setups of method in our LCMSMS also. Coming to the herbicides in black tea is necessary because black tea mostly identified the glyphosate and its metabolites. So we have achieved very good LOQ value, less than 1 ppb. Also, we have achieved very good repeatability in this herbicides analysis. These are the major and challenging main applications. Next, I am moving to very highlighted application or trending application right now in the food industries. First one, peanut allergens in spices products. It is not like a pesticide. It's an allergens. We can identify we can detect the peptides of the peanut or any nuts, which may be contaminated in the spices products, or it may be indirectly, unknownly entered in the spices product, should be analyzed by using only in the part of LCMSMS. So we have very good method for these peanut allergens and covered lowest level as much as possible in our LCMSMS. So there are here more than 8 peptides we have monitored in our spices products. Chili, pepper, ginger, curcumin, and others also. Coming to next case studies, mycotoxin is the very challenging in cereals products. So we have covered EU as well as the US FDA regulations. Part of this regulation, we have analyzed all these 18 mycotoxin in a single run with a different range as per the regulations, as per the guidelines. So this is fulfilled, this method package is fulfilled as per the regulations. All these 18 mycotoxins we have covered in this single run within 10 minutes. Of course, not only instrument part, the same method has implemented in the customer places also. Final case studies which is related to pyrosolidin alkalides, which is not related to the pesticide, it's a secondary metabolites of plant materials. Currently, it was implemented in the tea, it means black tea or green tea, whatever maybe. You can analyze all these pyrosolidin alkalides in a single run. In the tea matrix, you can see only 15, but we have developed more than 28 compounds in a single run and achieved very lowest LOQ level. It means LOQ level is the 1 ppb, LOD is 0.05. Of course, this method is much more suitable for your pyrosolidin alkalides in the plant material. These are the case studies much more useful for your food testing industries. Of course, I would like to mention once again, the pesticide method package is a real world example for our pesticides method development in our LCMSMS, because we have 836 pesticides in a single run within 15 minutes. We have covered 646 pesticides, each pesticide having 3 mRM transitions. Also, we will cover both positive and negative mode in a single run. So the purpose of this method package to improve your pesticide residue analysis workflow process, also increase the productivity of your lab. Final part of this presentation, I would like to highlight few points about the data processing requirement for your reporting. For the data processing workflow may be the part of integrations, quantifications, and QAQC, finally reporting. The challenging part is here, integrations. The integrations error will happen many times by the analyst. So we need right software tool to integrate automatically. This can be supported the new scientists, those who are going to operate the LCMSMS. That kind of the function also available or implemented in the LCMSMS software. You can understand through our product presentation by the Mr. Abhishek. So these are the special function definitely need when you are going to process the data. Also, the second thing, user-friendly software. That is much more important, because anything goes variation, any changes happening in the process, it should be highlighted automatically by the software. That's why I said it's a user-friendly software always required. So not only this highlight by, it can be highlighted with the different ranges. It means outlier means it's a red color, or it's a lower means it can show in the blue color. So that kind of the user-friendly software always essential for your pesticide residue analysis in your LCMSMS. This is our SPINCO customer experience zone in Chennai. We are having different model of the mass spectrometry. We are supporting our customer pre-sales as well as the post-sales. Pre-sales, we are supporting the training and part of the sample analysis. Post-sales, we are supporting the method development and method transfer to our customer place. I'm really thank you so much for your kind attention. Simotso and SPINCO together, we will accelerate for Indian testing lab in India. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. MS. It was a comprehensive overview on regulations, guidance, workflow, and technology to consider for pesticide analysis. You also had very interesting case studies, which gives an overall real life instances for pesticide analysis. I'm sure our viewers will be having a lot of questions. So we'll come back to you at the end of the session. So now going forward, our next speaker is Mr. Abhishek Shambekar. He is going to be presenting on Shimadzu LCMS for pesticide analysis. Just to give a brief about Abhishek, he is the business development manager in SPINCO for the past 13 years. He started his career as a product specialist and now he is the business development manager. He is the manager who always puts customers first. His thorough understanding of the subject makes him our technical solutions provider. So over to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Yeah. So thank you, Satish sir, for an introduction. I hope the slide is visible.
Yes, you can go.
Had a very detailed discussion on now we have an
I think there was some technical glitch. So are you fine now, Abhishek? Yeah, so we will come back to Abhishek first. What we can have is, Abhishek, are you there? So what we'll do is we'll come back to Abhishek later. So our next speaker is Mr. Debajit Sen, who has got 16 years of experience and is currently working with Spinco Biotech for the past 14.5 years. He is the territory manager for the eastern part of India and has a passion for chromatography system, especially GCMS and LCMS. So he has a good understanding of GCMS for the past 14 years. Needless to say, he is a self-made expert on mass spectrometry. So he will be presenting on Shimadzu GCMS and HPLC solutions for pesticide analysis. So over to you, DJ.
Yeah, thank you, Satish sir, for introducing. Thanks to all our customers for listening patiently. It was wonderful to have you on board. So next few minutes, I'll take you through the pesticide residue analysis by Shimadzu GCMS, whatever solutions we have, the latest technologies and innovations. First of all, let me introduce Shimadzu's GCMS portfolio. Basically, the front-end GC is called the Nexus GC 2030, and we have single quadruple CMS model as well as triple quadruple model. Single quadruple is 2020NX, and the triple quadruple segment, there are two models, 8040NX and 8050NX. Looking at the requirement of the food safety market for various pesticide residue analysis, 8040 model is sufficient. Shimadzu 8040NX model, if you look at the picture, the towering in front is the auto sampler or the automated sample injection robotics facility, which couples a round carousel of more than 150 vials capacity. The left part of the system is the MS part and the right hand side is the Nexus GC. The Shimadzu system is built for smart performance, smart productivity and smart operation. Over the next few slides, I will explain. If you look at the touchscreen facility, you will have many information about the column flow, the pressure, system readiness, whether the system is ready to run. Whenever it is ready, the green light will show and indicate as ready. So you can start your operations straight away. Today, we are talking about not only helium as carrier gas, not only nitrogen as carrier gas, but as a demand or the need of the hour, we are using hydrogen also as a carrier gas. So Shimadzu is the first company which introduced hydrogen as a carrier gas. Yes, we understand the safety issues of hydrogen. That is why there is a built-in leakage sensor which is there available very much for the safety reasons, and the system operation automatically detects the leak sensors. That leak sensor will automatically detect whenever there is a possibility of a leakage, and immediately it will stop the operation. So unless that part is overcome, the GC will not run. So everything is protected environment, so there is no need for worry. This is the general protocol while starting a GCMS. You need to first start your 4-line pumps, then need to check the vacuum level or the TMP. You can start the turbomolecular pump then leak check function, you have to wait for the stabilization, then you have to do the tuning judgment. So all these processes are manual in case of all the available companies in the market. Whereas these processes are automated in case of Shimadzu. If you look at the process, you need to just start the 4-line pump, and then rest of the processes like vacuum check to tuning, everything is automated. So you save some considerable time and resources. Then you do the tuning and the tuning judgment also. The result is published automatically, whether it is pass or fail, then you can start your analysis. In every step, there is something called active data management, through which what is the time remaining for the next steps to start your analysis, the time will be flashed. When we talk about the GCMS operations, basically there are two ionization techniques, as you might be aware of, the EI, electron ionization, and the CI. Mostly the PCI operation is done, but 90% applications are done in EI, electron ionization. But when you require some molecular ion information, that time CI may be required. So there should be a provision for simultaneously using EI and CI. But the actual issue is whenever you switch from EI to CI or CI to EI, there is a need for breaking the vacuum. This is how the operation goes. You do EI analysis, then stop vacuum, and then exchange ion source, and then again start up the vacuum. So this is little troublesome. You need to build up the vacuum again and again, and that takes some considerable time and energy. Here, what we provide is something called smart EI-CI ion source. So here you don't require to really stop the vacuum, and EI analysis you do without stopping the vacuum. The ion source is automatically switched to CI because it's a smart EI-CI ion source. The operation mode will just change to CI and CI to EI. So it's very, very user friendly. When we talk about the smart performance features of Shimadzu GCMS systems, there are quite a few latest technologies. Technologies are the DNA of Shimadzu. First technology what Shimadzu introduced is a heat shield plate in the ion source. By introducing that heat shield plate, what happens is the effect of filament temperature is nullified on ion generation. So there is no ion burning, and what you get is pure maximum number of ions at your detector. So signal to noise ratio, in other words, the sensitivity is increased. The second technology is pre-rod, which we call as pre-filter. As you know, GCMS is built on the quadruple technology. So there are 4 rods, and the 4 rods, or which is called as quadruple, is prone to contamination for many companies, but we use poly stainless steel quadruple, which is less prone to contamination. Added to that, there are 4 pre-rods which acts as pre-filters. So the contamination will not go to or reach to the main quadruple rods. That is very easy to change or replace the front part. Then there is another technology called off-axis ion source, with which what we achieve is the unwanted neutrals, which is not desired to reach the detector, will not reach. So you remove those, and sensitivity is dramatically increased. Overdrive lens is another patented technology of Shimadzu, which is a focusing optical design, special design of the lenses just at the detector front side, which ensures that maximum ions are collimated to the detector and you get higher sensitivity. There is another patented feature of Shimadzu called as UF sweeper technology with ASSP. What is that? With that, you can do 800 transitions per second. We are talking about MRM when we come to the triple quadruple segment, be it LCMS or GCMS. Here you can do multiple reactions monitoring, and 800 transitions can easily be done at a scan speed of 20,000, which is highest available in the market. Now, this is what happens when you do the general scanning. And this happens when advanced scan sim protocol, which is patented by Shimadzu, is used. So there is a switching option in the software itself called ASSP. You can on it, switch it on. So advanced scan sim protocol is on. That means you do much faster analysis, faster scanning at very high scanning speed, whether without worrying for the sensitivity. You don't compromise on the sensitivity. The data quality is excellent. So your mass spectrum and sensitivity is not compromised, rather it is improved, and you do much faster analysis. When it comes to the maintenance part, there is a new technology introduced by Shimadzu called ClickTech. What happens is, whenever the new users or who is not really acquainted with the technology or using the column change or replacement of the injector liner, what you do is sometimes the over tightening or under tightening happens, and then you damage your expensive parts. In order to avoid that, there is ClickTech technology introduced by Shimadzu, where it's completely tool-free operation. You just tight it with your hand, and then you can lose it with your hand again. So there is absolutely no requirement for the tool, and you feel that ClickTech nut is very, very user-friendly. With your human touch, you can just open and close the knob, and then column change is also user-friendly. You can also do the injector liner change, and split filters, as you see in the bottom picture, there is transparent split filter which is available, and then you see the color change, and you can easily replace, understand whenever the time has come for the replacement. Shimadzu, as we said, is DNA is their innovation. That means innovation they all the time do. So this AFC 2030 is something they have introduced, the advanced flow controller, which is required for the carrier gases as well as the detector gases. Everything is digitized, controlled, and then you get very stable data and high sensitive data points. We many a times call that the turbomolecular pump is the heart of the GCMS system. The reason behind is, for ions to travel, it is required vacuum environment, not the air. So ions will die in air. You require to have very high vacuum inside the quadruple chamber. Now, is it really so that you require the vacuum only in the quadruple chamber? No, it's not really. Many companies, what they do is they place the turbomolecular pump just below the quadruple chamber. And what about the ion source? What about the detector part? Because ions are generated at the ion source, they flow through the quadruples and then reaches the detector. So in order to ensure that vacuum is uniform throughout the chamber, Shimadzu has introduced this dual differential slit design. So there are two parts. One part is kept below the ion source chamber, and the other part is kept just below the quadruple. So that ensures the entire path is under vacuum and uniformity is maintained. There is another technology called twin line MS system. So there are two injector ports parallelly working, and then two columns you can simultaneously install and inject in both the columns. This is very much possible in Shimadzu system. It's called twin line system. I will explain later in the food safety applications how it helps. When it comes to the database for pesticides, Shimadzu is one company which provides the maximum number of database for the pesticide residues. We give 530 registered pesticide database we are having, developed by Shimadzu. And then what you get is the transition information as well. So transition information, compound information, everything you get for the MRM or SRM or SIM MRM dual modes, you can use this information. You also get MRM optimum transition data, which is available. So self-optimized product ion and collision energy, these are also given to you. Smart database, we can give intuitive Excel-based database for MRM and SIM records. So this helps in complete method development. So MRM is all the methods you can optimize, and then everything, including the collision energy, is preset for the various applications. We have our own separate method packages available. With this, it's very easy to run the samples. However novice is your user, it's really simple. In the software part, there is again some new innovation brought by Shimadzu. We are the first company and the only company who is having this kind of platform called Lab Solutions Insight. Now what happens, the analysis is one part, but post-run analysis is a highly challenging part, where a lot of data, when it comes to the pesticide residue analysis, lot of samples, lot of data are generated, and then you have to report it back in a reporting format. where some results are passed, some are failed. You need to check some results again, some samples again, in order to overcome the problem of analyzing the data with such huge content. What Shimadzu has introduced is color flagging option in the software called Lab Solution Insight. This is a beautiful software, really appreciated by the scientific fraternity, where you have different color coding options. Say, for example, you have set some threshold, and below the threshold, all are pass. At the threshold level, you need to check which is colored in yellow, and which is not being passed is colored in red. That way, you can report it back in your reporting format, and this is automatically transferred in the report. So, reporting is completely hassle-free and makes the user's life much easier. At much lesser time, you can report it back. When it comes to the libraries, Shimadzu provides maximum library options. Not only the universal libraries called NIST library is available with us, more than 3 lakhs compounds are registered. We have the Willy library, 11th edition, the latest edition. All the latest editions are available with us. Then we have the drugs library, FNSC, fragrance library, pesticides library. This pesticide library is developed by Shimadzu's in-house methods, and then polymer libraries. So all these libraries we are having. We have something called QuickDB or a smart database, what we can provide you. In the conventional method, on the left-hand side, you can see that this is the general process. You need to prepare the test sample, then the standard sample preparation. So this sample preparation will take 1 day, and then check the analytical conditions. This will take 1 day. Second day, you can start and do your analysis in the instrument. And third day, you can do your data analysis. So altogether, it may take 3 days. Whereas with this QuickDB, you just require to prepare the test sample, add the surrogates, and then what you do is analytical conditions are already pre-optimized with respect to the smart database, and smart MRM optimization tools are available. And then you just require to do the data analysis in the instrument in automated format. Report is also generated automatically. So it becomes just 1 hour job for you, which is earlier as 3 days job. There are certain accessories which can help really for the food sample or food matrix, which is known as the highest challenging matrices. I'll explain some of the accessories. This is called we have something special, some special glass liners available from Restec, which will really improve the quality of your data for the food matrix. Then we have the backflush system. Generally, what happens if your compounds or target compounds are eluted within 15 minutes, even if the runtime is about 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So after all the compounds are eluted, the system will give in a the flow in a reverse direction. So automatically the run will stop, and then you save some carrier gases and also save your time. Significantly, it reduces your analysis time and also prevent the system contamination in that. This is called backflush, which is very much available. These liners are very useful for improved response of active compounds. The topaz liners from Restec, what we provide. Coming to headspace, this is the latest development of Shimadzu headspace called the HS20NX. In this headspace sampler, we have the Platinum oven of 12 vials capacity, whereas the system can hold total 90 vials, and all vials are leak check vials. Oven temperature goes up to 300 degrees centigrade. Loop temperature is 300, and we have the shortest transfer line having 350 degrees centigrade temperature. We also have a trap model where we have the trap cooling method of minus 30 degrees centigrade. It works on heating and cooling method. Basically, wide range of temperature compatibility helps you because various samples require various kinds of temperature requirements. The fragrance sample, or water sample, it may be VOC sample, it may be alcohol, solvents, various kinds of gases, or heat resistance polymers, we have seen that the maximum temperature is required by the heat resistance polymers up to 300 degrees centigrade. Advanced flow controller, AFC, and advanced pressure controller for vial pressure. So these two technologies are used, one for carrier gases and one for the vial pressure optimization. And here the heat loss is minimum, maintaining high thermal stability. Shimadzu uses the very short transfer line. This helps in the minimum carryover with respect to the compared to the any other peer models. This is electrocooling trap. We have a trap model where it gives much higher sensitivity compared to the conventional loop or syringe based technology. Here we use a trap called 10xTA, where absorption and desorption happens based on cooling and heating. With this, the volatile samples can be measured. The VOCs can be measured at very, very high sensitivity. You can see the comparison. In loop model, whatever sensitivity we achieve, in trap model, it is much increased. So this trap method is available only with Shimadzu for the headspace. This is the comparison of the two pictures. Here we have loop and trap both. There are a lot of application nodes developed for Shimadzu when it comes to the GCMS. We are just showing some of the application nodes here. Grape sample, mango pulp, results, 124 pesticides in okra by GCMS. You can see so many varieties of samples are done and number of pesticides also you can see. Prawns, drinking water, grapes, ginger, lettuce, tea, rice. So many samples you have analyzed, and these are the results with the excellent linearities. Pesticide in animal feeds. pH in food products, we have a lot of applications developed. PCB, some are published AOSC International. Herbal products for pesticide analysis. We have some tea, pesticides and tea applications. Pesticide in rice, red chili. This is the current trend, ethylene oxide and 2C. We have all the recent applications also covered in GCMS. So basically,
thank you, DJ. We are short of time. These applications can be, it's there in the application booklet. We can also share to the customers. Now, I think it's time to go to the LCMS. Yes, Kevois.
Yeah, Abhishek, if your connection is fine now, can we go ahead? Yes.
Yeah, now is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So sorry for the technical glitch earlier. So quickly, I will try to complete the instrumentation part for LCMS. So basically, I would like to present Shimadzu LCMS, UFMS basically, Shimadzu Ultra Fast Mass Spectrometer. So we have today we learned got a lot of information in terms of the technology brief, applications, different applications. But basically, to handle this challenging food matrices and to achieve the lower LOD LOQ limits, scientists need a right tool. So that is where Shimadzu UFMS technology comes, and Same thing I would like to present the differentiating UFMS technology. So as you know, Shimadzu is the one-stop analytical instrumentation starting from UV to mass spectrometer. They have a complete range of instruments starting from UV spectrophotometer to FTIR, AAS, HPLCs, LCMS. You name any analytical instrument, they have with them. So it's a one-stop analytical instrumentation company. And from Spinco, we are representing them for LC and LCMS product line. Talking about the mass spectrometry, which is our subject today, Shimadzu also celebrates 50 plus years of MS innovation when we talk about MS as a technology. So Shimadzu has got a very rich and very innovative history in terms of developing the cutting edge technologies in terms of mass spectrometry, be it a GCMS mass spectrometer or a multi-top and a very single quadrupole and a triple quadrupole LCMS, and this very latest, the UFMS technology. So with this, we have more than 500 installations in the country, starting from A to Z companies, be it a pharma company or a CRO lab, diagnostic lab, a food lab, specialty chemicals. So today, each and every segment, each and every application requires LCMS. At the starting, even Vandana madam was telling that earlier LCMS used to be a desirable instrument for any scientist, any user in a lab. But today, for a food lab, it has become a mandatory instrument. So that is the power of LCMS. And LCMS triple quadrupole is a very versatile tool that can be adapted to wide range of food applications. So this UFMS technology, ultra-fast scan speed, ultra-fast polarity switching, and ultra-high sensitivity, these are the three pillars behind this UFMS technology. Shimadzu's triple quadrupole LCMS instrument offers superior performance and sensitivity to meet the demand of high-level qualitative and quantitative analysis, including pesticide screening, antibiotics, and more into various food matrices. As I said, the speed, polarity switching, and sensitivity. So these are the three main and important features and parameters behind this UFMS technology. These are the range of our LCMS different models available. So these are being positioned based on the application requirements. So starting from LCMS 8040 to 8045, 8050, 8060 to 8060 NX, we have a range of triple quadrupole LCMS instruments. And the one very unique thing about the technology is all these models are scalable. So starting from LCMS 8045 platform, these models are field scalable. So at any given point of time in future, if you have an LCMS 8045, 8050 or 60, it can be upgraded to a higher sensitivity model in your lab itself. So this is a future-proof investment concept introduced by Shimadzu, where you are able. So because what happens, we have a LCMS 8045, which is our go-to model, blockbuster model, which is being used by various food testing labs for analysis of various contaminants in food matrices. So these are the key specifications when we talk about LCMS 8045 as an instrument. So it gives the fastest scanning speed of 30,000 Daltons per second, ultra-fast polarity switching of 5 milliseconds, sensitivity, it gives the best in the class sensitivity, and as I said, on-site upgradation, which is a very unique feature about the instrument. In terms of the front-end UHPLC, it has the N-series UHPLC, which comes with a lot of analytical intelligence as a concept. So it's a fully automated system, starting from auto startup to shutdown. So everything is fully automated. The N-series UHPLC has been designed to meet new customer challenges and requirements. Shimadzu HPLCs outstanding hardware performance, and the latest digital technologies such as Internet of Things, machine learning brings us to achieve the highly reliable data acquisition with improvement of operational efficiency. As I said, the N-series UHPLC is a fully automated UHPLC. From auto startup to shutdown, it can also complete the regular functions like auto purging, equilibration, baseline check in advance, and make the system ready for analysis. So combining the N-series UHPLC with Shimadzu LCMS system offers a flexible workflow from instrument preparation, analytical data processing, ensuring high quality data analysis with analytical functions like smart startup, column friendly, flow pilot function, and mobile face monitoring function. So here in coming slides, I would just like to explain the significance of ultra-fast UFMS technology. When we talk about UHPLC as a front end, so we all know the benefits of UHPLC. We work on a very shorter run times. The peaks are very sharp. So if you consider this as a chromatogram, and these are the RTs, the peaks which are there. So each peak is constructed with set of data points. So for a proper peak, there should be sufficient data points captured to form a Gaussian shaped peak. So in case if instrument is slow, the MS system is slow, it will collect less data points. The acquisition speed is slow, it will collect less number of data points. But if the speed is fast, it will collect more number of data points. So its benefit is, if you see this experiment where there are 9 data points and percentage RSD is 8.75%. But when the same experiment is being run at 30,000 Daltons per second, the percentage RSD is improved to 2.45%. So even for compounds which are very low in concentration, still you will be able to properly identify and quantify those compounds, because with the help of fast scanning speed, more number of data points you are able to capture. Plus, additionally, ultra-fast polarity switching instrument offers fastest polarity switching time of 5 milliseconds. It is as good as simultaneous analysis. So, both positive and negative ionization can be clubbed together in a single method. This becomes very important when you are working on multi-residue methods. When you want to cover more analytes in a single method, so irrespective of their ionization tendency, those can be clubbed in a single method. UF super collision cell technology. This is a patented technology by Shimadzu. This ensures zero crosstalk. So this is the example where the conventional collision cell works. So in this case, when the fragmentation takes place in Q2, Dr. Madasamy in his presentation was explaining the construction of triple quadruple instrument. There's a Q1, quadruple 1, quadruple 2, and quadruple 3. So in Q2, which acts as a collision cell, fragmentation takes place. So during fragmentation, the molecule is being fragmented into the product ion. So during this, what happens? There is an external gas. In this case, argon is supplied for a fragmentation purpose. So because of this, there is a degradation in detection sensitivity. Because of this process, the transmission efficiency of ions is affected. So that is where the degradation in detection sensitivity will be there, and because of which you will get a lot of crosstalk, or we can also call it as a formation of ghost peak. But in UF super collision cell technology, which is a patented design by Shimadzu, it is something like a funnel shaped structure, small entry, large exit, where ion, instead of taking a conventional path, they cover a longer path. So they are quickly swept out of collision cell, because of which the transmission efficiency is not affected. So automatically we will get improved or better sensitivity, zero crosstalk, and a scientist can run multiple MRM events one after another. So combining ultra fast scanning speed, ultra fast polarity switching, and with zero crosstalk, we are able to get this kind of chromatogram. So mass spectrum. So you have seen today many times this kind of data where more than 600 pesticides are screened in a period of 10 minutes. So this is the power of instrument. This is the need of speed and polarity switching from the instrument. So when you are working on multi-residue compounds, so pesticides, when you are working on more developing methods, more than 200 pesticides, 300, 400 pesticides in a single method, you need an instrument with a fast polarity switching and fast scanning speed. And it should not compromise on sensitivity. That is where Shimadzu LCMS comes and provide best of the data. So the combination basically UHPLC with UFMS, which is a killer combination. Why UHPLC? Because we are able to run shorter run times, better sensitivity, good chromatographic resolution, and with UFMS technology, ultra fast scanning speed, polarity switching is very fast, ultra fast MRM, and faster data processing. So combiningly, it gives ultra high sensitivity, better specificity, and a higher throughput, which is a basic requirement for any analytical lab today. This was all from the hardware specification point of view. A user basically works on a software. Hardware will do its job. So in terms of software operation also, it has a very defined workflow in terms of data acquisition, data processing, and compliance. My colleague Dev Jyoti was explaining about the Shimadzu Lab Solutions Insight software, which is a very user-friendly software. In a single window, you can see all the information, compound versus sample, chromatogram, linearity, everything in a single window. He was also explaining about the color flagging functions, where the data review becomes very user-friendly. Otherwise, user has to struggle with Excels and have to do lot of data entry job. So this again, a job of user becomes very easy by using this flagging function. There are few unique method packages or databases which are developed by Shimadzu to support and quick start your analysis. So we have few LCMS method packages or databases like residual pesticides. We have a method package on mycotoxins. We have a method package on veterinary drugs and antibiotics. All these are very trending topics and applications today when we talk about food contaminant analysis. So I am taking an example of a residual pesticide basically. So it has 836 compounds registered in the library. So it comes with all the mass information, MRM transitions, method conditions, all in the information are available within this method package. So you can quickly optimize and start using your instrument. So this again, method development becomes very easy because you are getting all the informations readily available. So this is also again one of the database which has largest number of compounds, 836, which is in line with all the Indian as well as international regulations, whether it is EU, US FDA or the Japanese positive list. So this is in compliance with all the Indian as well as export regulations. Just to summing up, the instrument of choice, Shimadzu LCMS 8045, multi-analyte methods you are able to run, good chromatographic separation, N series UHPLC, wider dynamic range. Few key specifications when we talk about the sensitivity in terms of signal to noise, it gives 5:1, best in the class sensitivity, scan speed of 30,000 Daltons per second, and polarity switching of 5 milliseconds. So these are the few key specifications when we talk about the instrument. And yeah, so thank you all for listening and having patience with us.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. Thank you all the speakers, Dr. Sagar, Dr. Vandana Tripathi, for giving an overview of the pesticide analysis and the regulations that is followed. So we have a lot of questions now from the viewers. So let me just pick up all the questions and then we can answer. Okay, so before we start with the actual questions, so let me just start with one of my questions. So is mass spectrometer the only go-to technique for pesticide analysis? My question was, is mass spectrometer the only go-to technique for pesticide analysis? Dr. Sagar or...
Yeah, actually, looking at the current scenario of regulations, as Dr. Vandana also mentioned in her keynote speak, that MS is now an essential tool. So when we talk about pesticide residues, we have to comply to the different regulations, basically internationally also and domestic regulations, where triple quadruple mass spectrometer is a go-to tool for pesticide residue analysis.
Yes. So coming back to some basic questions, so what do you mean by multiple residues in food?
Multiple residues in the sense we don't have any control on the farmers, like what they are using in the agriculture. So there is possibility of presence of several pesticides which can be present in any food commodity. So that is how it is called multiple residues in food. And when we analyze the samples for pesticide residue analysis, we have to keep our method targeting most of the compounds in a single method so that we can detect the contaminants effectively. So that's how the multi-residue pesticide methods are being created and used in the testing laboratories.
Okay. So is there any limited amount of pesticides that is for India, and the list goes beyond a certain limit for the other countries?
Yeah, that's quite possible, because as we know that FSSAI has a list of around 213 pesticides for domestic regulation. And the CIBRC is one of the agency who is involved into registration of pesticides in India. So depending on the pesticides registered in India and then the FSSAI regulation, the list is for Indian market. Whereas depending on the registration in various countries, the list may change. For example, European Union has a list of more than 400, 500 compounds. Japanese list will have more than 1,200 compounds. So depending on country, the list of compounds may vary.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Sagar. So this question is to Dr. Santosh. So in your presentation, you mentioned that you have used quetchers as a method for sample extraction. So what is the reason for using quetcher? Is that an expensive technique, or can we use traditional methods of extraction for sample preparation?
Yeah, actually with traditional method, we observed like matrix effect was quite high actually. And this method basically becomes very easy actually. So like it's like easy for the users to get the better results. So that's only the reason actually we use like with better recoveries and better results, and with ease we can get the good results.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sagar. This question is to Manivandan. Dr. Tripathi mentioned that there has been a collaboration between SPINCO and IARI. So what exactly is the collaboration between SPINCO with IARI?
Okay. We have an MOU. So SPINCO and SIMASTU Delhi, SAP Delhi, are working with Dr. Vandana, and using our LCMS, we developed the challenging methodologies which is required as per the current guidelines. And we have successfully done 4 different methods, which is explained by Dr. Santosh. And these methods are also validated so that the other institutions need not have to struggle. They have to just,
do the same method transfer and implement that methods in their MS systems.
Yeah, thanks, Manivandan. So you mentioned that there are following the current regulations and policies. Dr. Madhusamy, what are the current regulations and policies that analysis the lab has to follow?
Of course, today we are discussing about the pesticide residue. So we have to follow SANDE guidelines when we are doing any kind of the method development or method validation for the pesticide residues. As I said very clearly, the regulations EU also available. It's for a different purpose. It means for India, we are following the FSA regulations, not the guidelines. It means SANDE only common guideline for the method development as well as the method validations. So of course, we have to follow that only for pesticide residue analysis.
Thanks, Madhusamy. Also, you mentioned in your presentation that sensitivity is one of the most important criteria, the critical factor to consider the mass spectrometer. So what exactly do you mean by sensitivity?
Yes, I mentioned 3 important parameters when we are going to choose the LCMSMS for food testing pesticide residue analysis. In this case, sensitivity is very, very important. If you want to achieve very lowest level of the particular compound, it means earlier the MRL value may be 1 ppm, 5 ppm or 10 ppm, it's a totally different. But current days, we are looking more than 400 or 600 pesticide in a single run. We have to fix the common LOQ value for all the compounds. So we have to achieve the lowest LOQ value. Definitely, we need the sensitivity of the particular instrument. So sensitivity of the instrument only define the LOQ value of the particular method. So the sensitivity means the response of S by N should be very higher for the all molecules. That's all.
Thanks. Thanks, Madhusamy. Since you mentioned about sensitivity,
I would also like to add a few things here. See, when it comes to the application of interest of the customer, as well as depends on the budget, SIMAS2 offers 4 different models of LCMS. So we have an entry-level model called 8040, which is for general regular usage. And we have the model called 8045, which is the medium segment sensitive instrument, which we have supplied to FSSAI, all the pesticide residue analytical labs, Punjab Agriculture University, and various other TNAU, all the other universities who are focusing on specifically on pesticide residue application alone. If you are thinking about if the customer wants to have a multiple matrices and very complex kind of matrices they want to do, they can opt for the highest sensitivity machine like 8060NX, which goes up to 15 lakhs of the sensitivity, 8050, which goes up to 8.5. But for pesticide residue, mainly covering few food safety application, we would recommend 8045 model, which is already optimized for the pesticide residue analysis usage.
Thanks, Manivandan. In fact, my next question is to Abhishek. I think there's also a question from one of the viewers. So one, if somebody wants to start a testing lab, so what are the things that they should consider? Like I said, there are so many models of HPLCs, there are so many models of MS, and even many models of HPLCs. So how do they have to zero in on a particular equipment?
So yeah, basically when we talk about setting a lab, so there are a range of instruments which are needed, starting from a sonicator to an LCMS system. And today, any food testing lab cannot run without an LCMS. So recently there was a document by even FSSAI, which was mentioning about setting up a food testing lab where all the instrument list, everything was provided. So they need all helping instruments, sample preparation instruments, as well as LCMS, GCMS, HPLCs, and also they have to define the scope of analysis, what they are going to cover within the scope. So when we talk about the nutrient analysis, like nutritional parameters, like vitamins and other nutritional parameters, HPLC maybe with UV PDA would do the job. When they would like to do aflatoxin analysis B1, B2, G1, G2, then they can add a fluorescence detector with the photochemical reactor. So it can do the application. And then for food contaminants like pesticides or antibiotics, they need definitely an LCMS like an instrument.
Thanks, thanks, Abhishek. And this question is to DJ. Since in your presentation you mentioned about method packages, so are these method packages a part of your system, or do they need to buy different method packages for different applications? You're muted, DJ. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, method packages are basically optional. Customers may buy based on their requirements, but we can provide the standard databases what we developed in Shimadzu facility. The pesticides database version 2 we can provide, and then standard libraries are available. Those are also can be supplied. And method package is purely based on customers' requirement and interest. We can provide. These are optional items for us.
So you also showed about software, which is an insight software. So is that a standard along with the system?
Yes, Lab Solutions Insight software comes as a package with the system. Customers do not need to pay separately for that software.
So it's only for the applications, depending on the, in case if they want to do pesticides, they need to buy a pesticide method package.
Yes.
Thanks, DJ. So now we'll go to the questions that we have received from the viewers. There's one, Mr. Nivas Kumar. This question is to Dr. Tripathi. Let's see if anybody has an answer for this, or else we can always post it to Dr. Tripathi and get the question. Dr. Tripathi, that's a great update. I would like to know if heavy metal and antibiotic testings have begun and the policies are identified and made. Dr. Sagar or Dr. Madaswamy. So the question is if heavy metal and antibiotic testings have begun and the policies are identified and made.
It means what Dr. Vandana Tripathi explained, they are having planning to expand the heavy metals and antibiotics the last slide. Based on that, he may made that questions. Of course, they are having idea to implement all those things in their project.
Correct.
Probably just to add to this, FSSA has clearly defined the requirements of antibiotic testing and metals testing in various food commodities. So those can be considered as regulation for India, can be considered as for implementation in other countries.
Okay. So there's another question from Satabdi Tripathi. After subjecting the samples to GCMS, how do I identify the metabolites of pesticide? Is there any site to get a list of the possible metabolites of a particular pesticide?
Yes, there are different kind of the websites. It means, for example, if you want to go with analyzing the fruits and vegetables, you may get the list from the Aptida website. It means you can get any kind of the grapes. They have big list for Anaksha 9. If you want to export the grapes to Russia, they have separate list. So that kind of the list always available in the particular website for each product, chili and mango, ladyfinger and this one grapes. So like that, if you are going to export any product from India to other country, that pesticide list also available in the particular regulation websites. So we may look at that and we can get clear idea about that related to particular main compound as well as the metabolites also.
So there's another question from Soma Das. So whether extraction solvent polarity will be the same for water, soil, and fish samples?
Yes, any kind of the extraction, we always going with the coaches, the instrumental only. Suppose you want to choose it means you have to choose or optimize the extraction solvent based on your compound which was available in the particular list. It's commonly used list, it means used solvent is the acetonitrile. So if you want to go change something else, you want to do it any changes, you may do it, and modified coaches also suggested for your water analysis. For mostly water analysis, people can do it with SPE instead of coaches, solid base extraction, because the volume of the water is 1 liter when you are going to do test analysis. So you have to decide it based on your polarity of the compound and list of the compounds.
So we got a lot of questions, but we're running out of time. So I'll just read out another 2 questions. So there's one question from Kurella. So is there any specific column for separation of compounds like gallic acid, and ethyl and propyl gallate compounds using HPLC fluorescence UV. Currently, LCMS method for the same. We are facing problem with separation of these compounds using HPLC. Kindly suggest.
Yes, if you are going to analyze a particular compound like epigallocatagen or chalate, it's from the D matrices, or we can separate. There was no specific column for the particular compound. We can work with the gradient program. For mass spectrometry, we can work with this specific gradient program. If not work out, then only we have to decide to go with the column. So we have to identify, because each column having different kind of the material. So we have to verify the column. It will take time to understand. So we have to decide based on the research only.
Okay, this one last question we can take. This from Gausia approach. Cypermethrin contains 4 isomers. Those are alpha, beta, theta, and zeta. And while analysis cypermethrin in GCMS-MS, I got 4 peaks. So these 4 peaks belongs to 4 isomers or any 2 of the 3 isomers, because alpha isomers individually gives 2 peaks in GCMS, and what are the rest 2 peaks belongs to? I think this is more specific.
The mixture of the standard also contains this one. So when we are purchasing the cypermethrin, the mixture of the compound having 4 isomers. Even if you are purchasing alpha cypermethrin, also sometimes it will show beta, sometimes it will show it, not all the times. So this kind of the problem always happening. When we look at the analyze the cypermethrin, the GCMS, you will get the 4 peaks. Including cyfluthrin, you will get 7 peaks, because cypermethrin theta and cyfluthrin alpha will merge and together will show only a single peak. So always cypermethrin having 4 peaks with a different nature. Based on your standard, it will show the peak, but we cannot avoid the this one mixture of the isomers, any kind of the standards.
Thanks, Madhuswami. So we'll take one last question. So this is from Sudarshan Kumar. When we try to do MRM with large number of compounds, how do we address the issue of difference in elution characteristics like differential hydrophobicity and elution pattern?
Sagar, please answer this question.
Yeah, actually, as multi-residue methods, we have wide like particularly those kind of methods, we have wide range of compounds starting from low polar compounds to high polar compounds. So ideally, we have to work out with column.
Okay, so
I think.
Madhuswami will get to continue.
Okay, yeah, I can answer. Yes, he may please. Yes, wide range of the pesticides, we can work out with the gradient program to cover all these compounds, and we can separate each and every compound, because the separation of the pesticides based on the mass value, based on the gradient program. It means also for the LCMS, no need that much separation. For example, any compound is having same molecular weight, same transition, we may work out for the separation by using the gradient program, sir. That's all.
Yeah, thanks. So there are still more questions. So what we'll do is we'll take all these questions and then compile and send an email to all of you. And thank you all for the people who have requested for the booklet. We'll ensure that each of you will get those booklets in a couple of days. Thank you all for your time, and thank you all the panelists and Manivannan for taking your time to have this wonderful webinar. Thank you once again. So we'll just close the webinar as of now. Mahesh.